Welcome to Layer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's discuss, left it back here, the Rolling Stones 1981 album, Tattoo You. I always thought the inner sleeve on this was really cool. I always felt like this should have been the album cover. I've told this story before that when I was growing up, I don't know if it was the area that I was in, just the time or the influence of the local radio stations, but classic rock, like late 60s, early 70s classic rock was really big at my high school, and it was popular even in my elementary school with like my friends, their older brothers and stuff. They were all into like the Rolling Stones, the Doors, Pink Floyd, The Who, stuff like that. So even though I was listening to a lot of hard rock and heavy metal, I was also listening to a lot of this classic rock. And this album came out when I was in 6th grade. I had just discovered AC/DC sort of towards the end of 1980, the middle of 1980 with Back in Black. So I was just really starting to get into music. And when this album came out, I really liked it. And it's really the last Rolling Stones album that I paid any attention to or that I liked. And really after this, I think that their catalog, would be really kind of just all over the place, and nothing really interested me after this. What's interesting about this album is that it's basically a collection of outtakes. They say that they were so busy touring, they couldn't find the time to get in a studio. They needed a studio album, so they went back and they just went through their vaults. Other people say that they were having so much problems, especially between Jagger and Richards, that the record company just said, you know what, let's just dig up some old stuff. So considering this, everything on here is stuff that didn't make it onto previous albums, is pretty impressive, because this would be the last album for them to chart as high as it did. I think it went to number 2 in the US, and Start Me Up was like a number 1, like a top 5 single for them. This is the 18th studio album in North America from the Stones. It's the 16th in Europe. Their catalog is very messy, like the Beatles. It's different, especially early on. There's different versions in Europe than over in North America. The Stones are an interesting band. I've said this before. You often think of the Rolling Stones and the Beatles kind of in the same thoughts. But for me, the difference between the Stones and the Beatles is the Beatles are more of a melodic harmony type band, nice chord progressions and everything and melodies. The Stones are all about feel and groove. And they're very good at that. They're very good at locking into a feel and a pattern and running with it. And you sort of hear that all over this record because you get a bunch of different styles and different things going on. It's funny, when I was younger, I really liked side 1, didn't care for side 2. Side 1 felt it has more of the rockers on it, but maybe it's me mellowing with age or something. Side 2, I've grown to like side 2 and find some really cool sort of little things to get into on the second side of this. Now it's produced by Jagger and Richards. They go by the Glimmer Twins. The production on it is fantastic. Tons of nice, warm, low end. Everything sounds great on it. You can hear everything. It features, the classic line of Jagger, Richards, Ron Wood, Charlie Watts, Bill Wyman. But there's 2 songs on here that also have Mick Taylor on them. Those are the songs that are from the Goatheads Soup sessions, which are Waiting for a Friend and Tops. You get some stuff from the Some Girl sessions, Start Me Up, Hang Fire, Black Limousine. You get some stuff from Emotional Rescue Period, No Use in Crying, Heaven, Neighbors, Little TNA, and some stuff from Black and Blue, Worried About You, and Slave. First side, again, starts off pretty rock, and Start Me Up. I've heard that song too many times. I've seen the video too many times, but I guess when it was out and I was younger, it was a cool song. Hang Fire, I always like that, just Stones playing rock. Slave is a good example of them, how they can lock into a real swing and a groove. Charlie Watts always had a great feel on the drums. This is a good example of that. Little TNA, I always dug the Keith Richards songs. Now, I know he has some solo albums where he sings all over the album. He's a type of voice where 1 song per record is about enough for Keith, but this is just a typical Keith type song here. Love the lyrics. his vocals, his voice is so like can't sing, but who cares? You know, he just goes for it, and it's fun. It's cool. I really like it. Black Limousine and Neighbors are a little throwaway for me. They're just kind of standard type of blues types things, and they don't really do a whole lot for me. Now, side two is where it gets kind of interesting because side two is pretty mellow. There is nothing really on side two that's upbeat or really rocking. Worried About You, Tops, they almost have some, like Tops almost has a laid back like Motown feel. Again, this is the Stones just locking into different things. Heaven is very trance-like almost in its groove and its feel. No Use to Crying is No Use in Crying is a nice ballad, and then the album ends with Waiting on a Friend, which I've always loved. I think that's a great song. The video for it is a sort of classic, you know, MTV video there. A little trivia: when Keith walks up, and I think it's Mick Jagger that's sitting on the steps. I'm pretty sure it's him, and he's talking to a couple people. Those are the steps to the building that they photographed for Physical Graffiti. So always liked Waiting on a Friend. I think that's a great mellow, laid back song, and the sax solo and it is really cool. So, all right, there you go. Rolling Stones, Tattoo You. Let me know if what you guys out there, if anybody else got into this record. For me, the last Rolling Stones album that I really pay any attention to. Let me know what you guys think of Tattoo You. All right, hit like and subscribe, and until we see you again, make sure you rock hard, ride free.